Today is a can't miss episode. I am sitting down with one of my real results successes, Amanda Morgan. Her story is incredible and will leave you feeling so inspired. I can't wait for you to hear our conversation. Are you struggling with weight loss despite trying everything? You're not alone. Welcome to the Real Results for Life podcast, where we dive deep into the secrets of sustainable weight loss. I'm your host, Jamie Young, founder of Real Results Medical Weight Loss, located in Kennesaw, Georgia. With over 10 years in the medical weight loss industry, I've successfully guided hundreds of clients to their dream weights. In this podcast, we will explore the keys to sustainable weight loss and make healthy choices an important part of your lifestyle. At Real Results, we offer comprehensive solutions from online programs and medical appetite suppressants to personalized one-on-one coaching. Join me on this transformative journey to discover and embrace the best version of yourself, ensuring you look and feel great both from the inside out. Together, let's achieve lasting results, starting today and continuing for life. Before we get started, please remember that the information we share here is for educational purposes and from personal experience. Each individual's health, fitness, and nutrition needs are unique. Therefore, please consult a healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet or exercise routine. Let's learn together responsibly and make informed decisions about our health. Enjoy the show. Amanda, thank you so much for joining me on the show, Real Results for Life. You're my first success story.
I'm a real result. Well, actually, and the other, there's another surprise, but yes, I'm a real result.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Your story is my absolute favorite. You know, it goes beyond, weight loss and what we do at Real Results. It's not just a number on the scale. It really is the people. And I love that part. So for those of you who don't know you, tell us about you. Tell us about what you do. Tell us all the things.
Sure. So I work in the professional and educational theater world. And here in Atlanta, I work at Kennesaw State University. I'm an associate professor and I have a couple of leadership roles. I'm the coordinator of musical theater and the artistic director of the department. So what I tell people is I teach people to sing, act, and then do it at the same time. But I also, as a professor, I'm a mentor and I help young people between the ages of 18 and 22, sometimes older than that, navigate their lives as they try to be artists, professional artists. And then I also I gig in Atlanta as a professional director and music director of musicals. So I've worked, if you've seen musicals at the former Atlanta Lyric Theater, down at the Alliance, Synchronicity. I've worked at Six Flags. A lot of times if I've music directed, I've helped put the music together. I'm actually on stage or in the pit conducting the band. And and I'm also a composer. I'm an author. I came out with a book last year about women in musical theater leadership. So I work in all of those arenas.
Yeah. And that is busy,
It's very busy and it's very, there's not a lot of routine and there's a lot of going between places, which contributes to my story a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and that makes it hard too. It's a challenge that you have overcome, right? And you have to overcome when you're having goals. So I love that. Okay. So let's go back before we met and tell me about life before Real Results and what brought you to Real Results.
Right. So I got married in 2012. In the same year, I started in higher ed in a tenure track position. And over the decade that followed, my husband and I, we started trying to have a baby in 2016. So 4 years into our marriage. And so around 2022, I had found myself having gained approximately 70 pounds since I got married. And that was incremental, right? It was 10 to 20 pounds per year, depending on what was going on. And I had made multiple attempts to lose weight and to get back down. And I had grown up playing sports and dancing. So, knowing what to do in terms of exercise and nutrition was never a problem. I just always hit a plateau every 10 to 20. I would lose 10 to 20 pounds. I did Whole30. I did keto. I did intermittent fasting. I worked with a friend of mine who'd become a nutrition and fitness coach and done her program virtually a couple times. And every time I would hit the 10 to 20 pound weight loss mark and then plateau. And I would kick into gear, and I would follow the protocols to a T. I know how to follow rules. I love a program. The most successful I was during the pandemic because I was home and I could control my exercise and my eating. So I identified what was happening was I would make significant progress during the summers when I wasn't working full time and gigging full time. And to be clear to our listeners, I mean, I did the math one semester. I had an average of 57 hours per week, average. So sometimes I am really, truly working 70-hour work weeks because I'm working multiple jobs. I'm at the university anytime from 8 or 9 a.m. until, if I'm doing a show there, I'm there until 10 p.m. If I'm doing a show elsewhere, I'm at the university from 8 or 9 until 3 or 3:30, and then I'm driving somewhere else for rehearsal 6 to 10, right? And so I'm picking up food. Even if I have time to meal prep, it's pretty limited. So anyway, I'd gotten to a point, and we had been trying to have a baby for 7 years with failed IVF, failed IUIs. You can Google what that is. If you don't know what that is, it's another kind of cheaper fertility treatment. And we were a case of undiagnosed infertility. And we'd gotten to the point where I wasn't sure if we were going to try again. I just knew, I said to my husband, I'd gotten a raise at work and he had gotten a new job with an increase in salary. And I was looking at the summer of 2022, and then I had gained a sabbatical of sorts. They call it something different at KSU. It's tenured enhanced faculty leave. That fall. So I knew I wouldn't have to be on campus. So I knew I would be in control of my time from May of 22 to December of 22. And I said to my husband, can I take some of this money and invest it back in myself? I want to go to a medical weight loss place because I want them to run lab work. I want to see if there's something I'm missing because I had tried all these other programs and kept plateauing. I was like, something's not right. I had gotten my thyroid tested through my general practitioner and everything looked quote unquote normal. All my numbers and levels were normal. Same with the fertility stuff. So kind of doubling back, the goal was not to revisit fertility. The goal was to get my body back, I said. And this is going to sound sad to those who are listening, but I said, most of the women my age around me had gained all this weight, but it's because they had children. And I didn't. So I was like, I'm tired of being fat and childless. I'm tired of it. I know, but that's what this kept like resonating with me. And I have a great therapist. She's wonderful, but that's just what I was feeling. I was looking in the mirror and I was like, I don't have this. I don't have what my other friends are complaining, but I'm like, but you have kids and you like sacrificed your body for this. And here I am. And I sacrificed my body for my career and trying to have kids, but I just felt terrible. I felt so terrible. And, I remember I won this theater award in 2018. And it was like such a joyous moment because it was something I was working towards, and the photos came out and I was just so ashamed. And I was like, I can't even remember. I'm going to cry talking about it. I can't even remember that experience positively because I was so ashamed of how I looked and for what, So anyway, my massage therapist, who's also awesome, Amy Floyd, licensed massage therapist, Pure Zen Massage, is in your building. And one day I was coming out of of a session with her and I saw the logo. And I asked her the next time I saw her, I was like, do you know about this medical weight loss place? And she was like, no, but everybody seems to be coming out of there pretty happy. So I went and did some consultations at some other places in town, and because everybody offers free consultations.
Did you have a hard time picking up the phone and having that courage? Because I find that a lot is some people just the phone will feel like 50 pounds to call. Did you have any obstacles as far as getting in the office?
No. I mean, when I put my mind to something task oriented, like I just made a list of the places I wanted to call and I sat down with my little notepad and I made appointments at all the places. And I literally, it was like back when I was dating online years ago. Like it was like, just schedule the dates and go on them. So I went to 2, 3, maybe 4 places in the course of a week. And you are who I felt most comfortable with, mostly because of the a la carte pricing. There were a couple places that was like, here, pay us $2,000 to $3,000 up front, and that pays for the whole program. And I was like, well, what if I don't like the program? What if I decide to do IVF in the middle of the program? What if? And they were like, and you can keep your credits for later. And I was like, for later? What if I move to New York? I don't know. And the way that you laid everything out felt like the least scammy. It felt very genuine. That was like, you can do it this way, you can do it that way. And the way that you explained things was so easy. I mean, I remember coming home to my husband. You were the second place I visited. And I was like, well, that feels right. It's like house hunting. It's like, that felt good. So that's the vibes I'm into for sure.
Oh, I love it. So for friends who haven't been into the office, so the first step that we do is a free evaluation. So with one of our weight loss coaches to determine what kind of program is going to be a good place to start. And I say start because like Amanda said, there's flexibility in it. And I have found since, the business is going to be 8 years old this year, is the what works first, like the first 20 pounds, might not work for the second 20 pounds. And so I always say that the power is in the pivot. We find a place to start and then we go from there. And I always encourage people to do lab work. It's not a high pressure environment, but if someone is,
do it.
Yeah, the labs are so important. If they are like, I've tried everything and nothing's happening, I'm 100% sure. I'm 99% sure that there's something going on behind the scenes, and the only way to find out is to run the labs and then have a physician, a practitioner who is going to really look at the labs and look at them from a weight loss point of view.
Yes.
Because I hear that all the time about your primary care saying your thyroid's fine.
It's normal. No, it wasn't.
Normal.
Well, mine was, but yeah.
Well, and even if it is normal, it doesn't mean it's optimal for weight loss. And so if you're having a hard time losing weight, that's your symptom and we can treat it. So let's see. So then in the story, you met with Dr. Millie for the first time after we got your lab work. So tell me about that appointment and that experience.
Ooh, core memory, right? Yeah, well, and I love that, like so what, I don't know. Well, you guys do it two different ways now, but when I did it, it went through LabCorp. So I got a copy of my results, which was great because I could double back and Google, right? Like, again, these kinds of programs feel scammy to people who don't know them. And so the ability to take what she told me in that appointment and double back and Google it and be like, oh, crap, right, okay. So anyway, we sat down and I'd said to you in my initial consultation, the stuff about infertility, and we don't know, this isn't really for that goal, but maybe. She, without blinking, unironically was like, so you're insulin resistant, you've got PCOS, you know that because you've been to IVF clinics. And I went, whoa, what? And she was like, you didn't know you're PCOS? And I said, no. She goes, how many clinics have you been to? I was like, 2. How much money have you spent? At that point, 40 grand, 45 because I was at the second clinic and we'd done a couple less invasive things. Nobody ever said PCOS to me, ever. If I'd known that, we would have been more aggressive. I mean, like, it was 5 years in at that point. What? 6, actually. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, I'm looking at your hormone levels, and while they are on paper in the normal range, this number should be higher than that number, and they're flipped. That plus high testosterone plus high DHEA are all the symptoms, are all the markers of PCOS. There's no like literal test for PCOS. You have to look at all the markers and combine them. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I asked my PCP to test for that. She was like, yeah, I mean, she was probably looking at these numbers, like you said, but they're in the normal range. But like, if you're looking at the numbers and the way they talk to each other, this is indicative of this. And then she's like, look at your glucose, look at your insulin. She's like, this is why you could do all those programs again and again, and you're going to hit that plateau wall without the help of medicine, honestly. And I was like, what? And I mean, my mom passed away when I was such a young kid that I don't have a lot of markers of like genetic whatevers, but her brother has type 2 diabetes that developed in his 60s, so here I was looking at this paper and looking at my A1C, which was pre-diabetic. And I was like, and she was like, yeah. And the way she explained it was kind of amazing. Especially later on when we saw some results, and that was the motivating factor to go back to try IVF again. She was like, and this is what I explained to a lot of my friends too. She's like, your body is like a computer, and a certain percentage should be devoted to processing food, period. Right. But when you're insulin resistant, like a huge percentage is devoted to just doing that basic task. So your other systems kind of go offline, right? Like it's no wonder your reproductive system was like, well, girl, if you can't even process sugar correctly, we ain't putting a baby in you, like we're not going to accept that embryo. I mean, the way she explained it was kind of like, I'm paraphrasing, but that was it. Like, oh, if your body is too busy trying to do this basic task of the day-to-day fueling, it's not going to take on the responsibility of growing a baby. So she's like, well, let's just aim for your original goals of weight loss and getting your insulin down. And if you want to, revisit the whole fertility thing later, like let's start and let's see how things go. So
Yes.
I walked away from that appointment, like I said, core memory. I was sitting in her office, which is now your office, and I was like, what? Just my jaw was on the floor. But then I went home and Googled everything that she said and the numbers themselves and being like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and what I love too is we went ahead and exactly what you said, let's get started.
Let's go.
Yeah, you got to get started, that first step. And so we started with semaglutide, which is the Ozempic, and treats both insulin resistance and PCOS, which is amazing because for those of you who don't know, it's one shot once a week. And so that is just a great, it's simple and it fixes both of the issues. So we started that medication. We got started. Did you have tell us about how it felt to be on the medication itself? Did you have bad side effects, good side effects?
I obviously my appetite was crazy. We went all out together at the beginning. We did semaglutide, B12. We had some phentermine in the mix. Like I was doing you set up a really clear eating plan. I love I'll just say out loud, like I really love how you frame the nutrition, that it's like keto light, and it's, when you're starting out at the beginning and you have a lot of a way to go, don't worry about, you got to track everything in MyFitnessPal, which I love tracking, but like, you don't have to, just stay within these parameters. You were really clear about what you can. Like if you have a vice that it's like, I have to have this every day or I'm going to lose my mind, then like, how do you adjust the rest of the system? I loved that. So with that being said, it was the beginning of the summer. I think I was working on a show. I was working on Matilda at the Lyric, and I felt great. I had a lot of energy. I was like super shocked at the appetite suppressant nature of it, right? And like the curving of the cravings. I think the very beginning was tough because it was like no sugar. Like it was like, you can manage all these other things, but like lay off the sugar, kid. And it made me really open my eyes to how much sugar was in my diet that was sneaky, like fruits, and being like, oh, a banana and some peanut butter is great, but that's like carbs. And I didn't realize how much sugar and carbs are in fruits. Yeah. And so in terms of negative side effects, like, listen, for me, it wasn't that bad. I always on day 2, every single shot, no matter what level, I get a little nauseated and then it goes away. And I'm talking like maybe half an hour's worth and that's it. Otherwise I was good. And that's what I also love about like being in a program and doing it. Cause you see stuff on the news about people, like just willy-nilly using these shots and going home with them. And I was like, the fact that we come and check in with you, we get weighed, we look at the composition scale and what's working, what's not. You ask a ton of questions about the symptoms and how we're doing. I had, when I was on the highest level, I had some GI issues in terms of like bowel movements, but like they weren't issues. They were just like, oh, that's different than I'm used to, but like whatever, it was still happening. So other than that, it was pretty.
Did you have a part of your weight loss journey that you found to be the hardest? Was it cutting out sugar at the beginning? Was that the hardest part, or do you feel like it might have been somewhere in the middle?
It's so hard to think. I was looking at that question. I was like, it's so hard to think about that because of my success. It feels like everything felt like a valid sacrifice. For me, it was finding time to exercise every day. That was a part of our plan. I think the hardest part was figuring out what to eat on the go. It wasn't cutting out any specific thing. It was figuring out like, oh crap, I didn't meal prep. I didn't plan for this. I have to get from one place to another. I have half an hour. What can I get at Wendy's? It's not going to derail me, but like, I just got into it. It was like, I would just get chicken nuggets, no fries, like no meal, you know what I mean? And that's where you get caught. They're like, you want to make it a meal? And you're like, yeah. It's like, no, you don't need fries. Just get 10 nuggets and a drink. And also
keep going.
And even though it's not the best, right? It's better than also eating fries. And, just like going to Costco and getting all those protein shakes and just always having those on hand. That's always super helpful.
Yes. I love that. And so I think I went back. You lost during this process, you lost 60 pounds. So tell us about the IVF side of things when we got towards, when we got to that 40-pound mark, 50-pound mark. So tell us about Because I mean, weight loss is hard by itself, but adding that in there, what was that like?
Well, to be clear, IVF, some people don't know, is in 2 phases. The first phase is the egg retrieval, the growing of the eggs, the retrieving of the eggs, which is a process under general anesthesia, the recovery process. And then they, create embryos from that and freeze them. And then you hang out for a couple months or however long you want to, and then you come back and do a transfer. So to be clear, I could stay on the semaglutide, and I did for my retrieval. I couldn't for my transfer, so we had to wean down later. Mm-hmm. So we started in May of 22. I think that first round of follow-up labs was September, and that's when I had lost about 30 pounds. My insulin had dropped from like 10 something to 70 something, or maybe less. Like it had gone all the way down. My A1C had dropped from 5.6 to I think 4.7. I mean, like a full point, all that. And so that's when I went back to my IVF doctor, my reproductive endocrinologist here in Atlanta. And, we asked to get evaluated to maybe try a retrieval in December, because I was still on leave from full-time work. So I was like, great, then I'll be relaxed. I'll have time to take care of myself. I won't feel pressure to go back to class. And this is wild, right? Like, in 2018, we did my first round of IVF with the previous clinic, and I was 34 years old. We retrieved 14 eggs, 9 fertilized. After all was said and done, we ended up with 2 embryos, and they were both normal. And then we did transfers, and they failed later on. At 38, we retrieved in December of 22 after doing this program. We retrieved 28 eggs. And it's not about numbers, but numbers do help in terms of the odds. We retrieved 28 eggs. 17 fertilized, 10 made it, 5 were normal. So we ended up with over twice the results of options at 4 years older, which is counter science to the statistics in the fertility world.
Well, but you'd lost at this point 40, 50 pounds, and you had fixed PCOS and insulin resistance. So, I mean, that was such good news. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And then you got to your goal weight. So my favorite part of the story, we got to just jump in. So you walked into my office. I wrote it down. So I would, July 19th, 2023, to tell me some amazing news. I'm going to let you tell me about it.
Sure. So we did that retrieval around the first of the year in January. We found out we had our 5 embryos in the freezer that were good. We didn't know genders or anything like that. And so we did a transfer June 19th, our first transfer of this round. And I got pregnant with our little boy. And so I got to come in and tell you and Dr. Millie and Kay, who works at the front, or used to work at the front. Now she works in a special office, but she was, Kay was really a part of my journey too. And I felt like you guys felt like extended family. Like I wanted to come and tell you guys in person. Yeah. And Atticus Gray, baby AG, was born March 2nd, 2024. And he's perfect. Today we celebrate his 6-month anniversary, 6-month birthday.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I did gain a lot of weight in pregnancy, and we were keeping an eye on gestational diabetes. I never fully contracted it or developed it. And now we're back on this program to get ready for another possible transfer. But yeah, it was the greatest gift.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we just hugged and cried. I'm like tearing up thinking about it.
I made a lot of people cry around Atlanta in those first couple months before announcing. In fact, we announced on social media a year ago yesterday, but I got to tell certain people in person, and just kind of like pull out the sonogram picture. And it was just like, holy crap. Aww. Wow. A second chance for real.
Such a real result. I mean, it was just
real result. I know. When I brought the baby to the office the first time, I was like, he's the real result.
Love
we
it.
did it.
We did it.
He's so cute.
He is so cute. He's precious and healthy. And I mean, it's the number on the scale, but I mean, this was amazing.
I can't overstate that without you and your team, I would not have a son. I wouldn't.
Oh my gosh, you're making me cry.
I wouldn't, right? Like he's going to graduate from high school and he's going to walk across the room and be like, Jamie Young and Dr. Millie. But it's true. I mean, I would have never figured it out. Or, I could have gone somewhere else, whatever. It doesn't matter. I believe God puts us where he puts us when he puts us there. But man, no, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, sure, we could adopt and foster and we were going down that route, but like, it just wouldn't have happened. I would have never put the pieces together because you guys put the pieces together for me.
Oh my gosh. Heart, love. I love it. I love it. So I know that this story is going to inspire so many people. I mean, it inspires me. I mean, it's why I do what we do. I mean, it's the people and just that positive ripple effect that I believe that we do in here.
And you say that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I've had at least 10 friends come to you at least.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, like, I have to say, y'all who are still listening, like the greatest thing is I've touched base with all of them and no one has the same plan. It is not and I've had so many people be like, tell me about the plan you're on. I'm like, the plan I'm on is going to a group of professionals who diagnose your specific needs and help you fix it, which is what medicine should be. I understand. I understand what standard of care means. I mean, you're talking to the person who went to a clinic and they, they did what was supposedly standard of care and didn't help worth a dang, for IVF for $40,000 down the drain, we spent 40 to have AG and that's great. So we're 80 in, but 40 was literally burned in a trash can as far as I'm concerned, because they were checking boxes, not digging around at my individual circumstances. So that's why they call it unexplained infertility, but it's really called undiagnosed is what a lot of people say. That's what it really is. But anyway, my point is I've had so many friends come to you, colleagues, and just seen varied results because it's based on their needs, their ability to move forward. And yes, it costs money. And yes, like I've got a credit card bill to deal with, in the long run, but it is worth it. It's my whole life. I mean, not only would I not have my kid, but who knows how soon I would have actually developed diabetes. I could have it by now, as far as I'm concerned, without knowing like what was I doing other than, because again, everybody, I was eating as much broccoli and chicken breast as you could eat. I really was. I was exercising. It just wasn't doing the trick. It wasn't going to get me anywhere. Sorry.
No, it's a beautiful segue. I mean, for someone who is looking to change their life and make a difference in there, what would you tell them?
I would say, look, try the cheap alternatives, right? Like it's calories in, calories out. I mean, it's all based on very logical science. Calories in, calories out, protein over sugar, macros, all that kind of stuff. But if you've tried that and you're plateauing or you're not seeing any results at all, like you should see results. You should. If you're doing things by the book that everybody knows because of the internet, and you're not seeing results, it is time. Just like I would say, go to a mental health professional. If talking to your friends isn't enough, you need a therapist. If running every day or working out every day and cutting calories isn't doing it, you need a professional. And again, I mean, a team is better than one. And it's okay to be skeptical. It's okay to ask the questions. It's also okay. I recommend always, and this is my story with the fertility clinic, get a second opinion. If you walk out of somewhere and it feels scammy, then don't go there. Even if it's not scammy, if it feels scammy to you, then don't go there. Go somewhere else and keep asking the questions. But there is a solution. There is a solution. You just have to find the right people to put the puzzle pieces together.
Yes.
Sure.
So if people were debating about calling Real Results, Amanda, what would you say?
Girl, call. Just call. I mean, again, the consultation's free. I mean, I would say, find me on social media, DM me, and I'll send you a picture of my child and be like, he exists because I did this. And yes, I lost a ton of weight and I felt great. And I would say when you start to feel better, then you start to do better for yourself. It starts to, just like we're human beings, and there's great material out there about how we're built for cycles, right? And it is easy in today's society to get into a negative cycle and to just keep rolling in that negative cycle. And sometimes you need literal professionals to help get you into a positive cycle. I mean, when you weigh less, it's easier to work out. When you're working out consistently, and when I say working out, exercising, walking, it's easier to keep doing it once you get past the initial pains of like, oh, I haven't done this in a long time. Like, get up, get out there, But again, I say call. I mean, Jamie, you're the most compassionate person. You've never I never felt shamed in your office. You always like have the ability to look on the bright side. I remember weeks where like I'd either not lost any weight overall or gained even, and you were looking at
The breakdown.
and going, well, you gained a pound, but like it's muscle, and look at how much fat you lost. Like that's what we're really looking at. Or the weeks where I would like lose a ton overall, but you're like, okay, this is how we're going to tweak this, or, here's the small recommendations. I never felt real shame in your office, which is, what all of this is tied to, is guilt and shame, creating, breaking those negative cycles and being like, okay, well, what can we, it's a new week. What can we do?
Yeah. And I love to hear you say that, because I mean, that's the company culture, is positive.
100%.
And it is from the front desk all to everybody. I mean, to the whole team, is positive and encouragement. There's definitely no place for shame. I mean, it doesn't help anybody. And it breaks my heart when I hear people who have been to clinics and they're like, yeah, they would ask me what I was doing wrong if I didn't lose weight. And it was like, no, yeah, I've heard some terrible things out there, but no, that's the company culture that I've worked really hard to.
Yeah. And I do like the emails that you send. I still get them where it's like, hey, Thanksgiving's coming up. Here's some tips to forefront that. 4th of July's coming up. It's back to school. Here's like little things to help remain consistent. I mean, I know, of course, when I started, I had a notebook and I had to write everything down of these recipes and stuff like that. But like, I know what I need to keep in my fridge to grab on the go. I've got string cheese, I've got yogurt, I've got beef jerky, I've got my Premier protein shakes, and that's what works for me. I can survive on those things, especially like a great example is if I know I'm going somewhere and it's like, oh, we're having pizza, I will make sure I bring a Premier protein shake so that I down that and I have one slice of pizza. That's it. Right. And like, that's fine. So you do a really great job of helping people manage the moderation aspect of it.
I love it. Yay. That's awesome. I love to hear it. Okay. Do you have one last tip, like a life hack for people who are looking to lose weight that they can just implement today if they wanted to?
You can always get back on the wagon, meaning like if, there's so many days now that I have a baby now, right? And I'm back to work full time. Like my baby was sick this past week and I didn't get to exercise a whole lot, right? Like I didn't get to do my morning walks or whatever. But that doesn't mean the whole week is shot. Like your week is not, if you think like I do in terms of weeks or months or like phases, that can be really counterproductive to, especially in the terms of exercise and or meal planning. Cause every day is new with meals, right? Like you like crap one day, the next day be like, I'm getting a salad for lunch. Like I'm starting the day with eggs. Like you can always restart on the day. Exercise is a little harder cause it's like, you know what, this week's shot, whatever. It's not. Get up and go for a walk.
Yes.
Or, even if if it's too hot, I mean, we're in Georgia, it's hot. Go to the mall, right? Go walk around the mall. Go, Planet Fitness is $10 for the cheapest membership. Stop by on your way home and walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes, right? Just 20 more minutes, 15 minutes. Just stop on your way home, get on the treadmill, park further away. All those little things really do help. Do some push-ups against your kitchen counter for all I care while the baby's bottle's heating up or whatever. Like those little things, because then at least it might not mean that you can, because I think this is mostly geared toward people a little older. When we're younger, we're like trying to tone and everything. But once you pass 35, like let's just try not to get diabetes. Okay. Like, so it's like, those little things might not help you see your abs tomorrow, but they will make you go, but I went for that 15-minute. There's a mental click that happens when you satisfy a need that your body or your mind has in the moment.
I love that.
It becomes self-care, right? Like, especially for the parents out there, workaholics like me, saying, I'm going to the gym for half an hour and I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb and I will answer your email in half an hour. This is my time. And if you start to view exercise as self-care, it starts to add up in a positive way.
I could not agree more. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for taking the time today to be on the show. This is just going to be an amazing conversation for people to hear.
Yeah.
I just am so thankful.
Yeah.
And so happy for you.
I'm the most thankful. I am the most thankful. I mean, I have friends from out of state being like, do they have an office in Florida? I'm like, no, it's a girl named Jamie and her friends. Like, no, it's a mom and pop local business that is very special to the people here in Kennesaw. And I know I have friends that come to you from across Atlanta and make the drive, and it's worth it, right? It's life changing. Anyway.
Oh, well, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. The holiday season is full of joy, magic, and temptation. But what if you could enjoy all the magic without packing on those extra pounds? Did you know that the average person gains 7 pounds between Halloween and New Year's? But guess what? That doesn't have to be your story this year. At Real Results, I've created a free email series designed just for you. I call it Thriving Through the Holidays. Embrace the magic, skip the weight gain. In this email series, you will receive expert tips, practical strategies, and simple steps to enjoy the holidays without sacrificing your health or gaining those extra pounds. From managing holiday stress, making smart choices at parties, to keeping your energy up and staying mindful with your meals, I've got your back every step of the way. This series will give you all the support you need to enjoy the season and come out feeling your best. Sign up for free at realresultsforlife.com/holiday. And let's make this holiday season one where you thrive, not just survive. Today in Jamie's gym section of the show, I am going to keep it super quick because Amanda really did say it all. And that is to just do it. Make that next right step or that next healthy choice in your journey. No matter what you've done previously, no matter where you are, just start. Ordering a salad instead of a cheeseburger, doing a 20-minute walk, calling Real Results and seeing if we have a program that's going to be a good fit for you. Just make that next right choice, no matter how the day has looked or how the week or month or years have looked in the past, and make that next step to a healthier you, and it'll change the game. Thank you for tuning in to the Real Results for Life podcast. Your dedication to self-improvement is truly inspiring. If you're serious about achieving your goals, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. By subscribing to this podcast, it will provide you with ongoing encouragement and support, filling your cup with valuable tips and motivation to help you succeed. At Real Results, we're excited to offer you several online weight loss solutions that cater specifically to your goals. One program I'm thrilled to highlight today is our semaglutide at-home program. It's specifically designed to kickstart your weight loss journey and support you every step along the way, right from the comfort of your own home. Our program begins with the semaglutide online launch package, which will give you immediate access to our comprehensive online coaching program. This includes training videos, dietary guides, hundreds of recipes, and more. The package covers the cost of your initial lab work and a virtual appointment with our medical director. Once approved for the medication, your semaglutide will be automatically billed, shipped, and delivered directly to your door. Achieving your health goals has never been more straightforward or convenient. Are you ready to transform your life like hundreds of my other clients? Click the link in the show notes or go to realresultsforlife.com to learn more and join our semaglutide at-home program today. Thank you again for listening. Remember, with dedication and the right support, real results are within reach.